Hey, good afternoon. Hey, you know what? I want to talk about something that's happening right now, and I'm sure that many of you don't even know it. You know, right now we are being gaslighted, and if you don't know what gaslighting is, basically it's when a group or a person tells you lies and things that make you believe that you're the crazy one. The government and the media are lying about the COVID, the economy, and the riots. I mean, just in the last 2 days, the World Health Organization yesterday said that the chances of catching COVID from people who are asymptomatic was basically nothing. It really didn't happen. And then today, the next day, they come out and say, well, the chance of getting COVID when there's someone who's asymptomatic is about 40%. And they said that's where all the new infections are coming from. Well, which is it? Is it that we're going to get infected by being around someone who's asymptomatic, or we're not? You think they might be covering for the second wave, the one that's been the government and the media has been telling us is coming, because of the states that opened up early, and now they're saying, well, because they opened up, we're going to have a second wave. You think they're covering for that so that when it does happen, or if it happens, or if it even seems like it's going to happen, or they make it look like it's happening, they can do another shutdown? Sure seems like it to me. Well, I don't know. But, if they want to do another shutdown, they'll have to sell it to us, or sell it to the sheep with fear again that, oh my gosh, we've got the second wave, we're going to shut down. And this is for a virus that has already been proven to be less infectious than the flu. The amount of people getting it is lower. The chances of getting it are lower. Now, there are people dying from it, just like they do with the flu, but generally those are people with, underlying conditions, a weakened immune system, or comorbidities that something's already sick. They're already sick with something and weakened, and so the virus to sort of take advantage of that. So the first shutdown, killed about 50 million jobs. I know the numbers were about 43 million that were unemployed. There's probably more like 50 million because there's always going to be some number of people who for whatever reason, can't file for unemployment, whether they're getting paid cash money under the table for whatever job they're doing. But the thousands of jobs, the thousands of businesses that were shut down and are probably not going to come back, or will come back shortly and then close up again. So what do you think another shutdown is going to do? You think that'll help? And I think it'll completely eliminate probably what's left of this tattered economy. And then we come to the stock market. The stock market right now is rallying, but this is nothing but hopium. This is being juiced by the Fed. In the last couple of months, the Fed has printed at least $3 trillion that we know of, and printing is a misnomer. They don't print the actual money. It's just digits on a computer screen. The difference between one and a trillion is like 12 zeros, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you have money. But the Fed's been buying the stock market. They're buying junk bonds, or they're bailing out their buddies who made bad debts or bad bets on things in the stock market, and they're trying to save them from having to get stuck with those bad bonds and poor responding or poor performing stocks. So it's nothing but hopium. It's nothing but something that the Fed is doing to try to make it look good, and then the media portrays that as, look at the stock market, it's recovered. It's it's almost back up to 28,000 from the March low where it was down. I can't remember now, 20,000, 21,000. But we know that the Fed just printing the money. If you print 3 trillion, 4 trillion, and who knows where the Fed balance sheet will go to. It's at 7 trillion right now. It'll probably go, who knows, 10, 12 trillion. Jerome Powell on 60 Minutes said that basically the Fed can print an infinite amount of money. So it makes me think of something, though. If the Fed can print infinite amounts of money, why do we have to pay taxes? Why don't they just print money and then we don't pay any taxes? That's a side story. But it's when they're printing this money, they're just bailing out their buddies in the financial world. And you say, but Steve, I got $1,200 and my unemployment is like $600 extra a week. Yeah, that's the little bone they threw you to keep you, sort of keep the minions quiet, kind of keep you subdued so you don't freak out because, it's been, I don't know, for some people who've been unemployed for 3 months probably, and maybe have had, no income or whatever they're getting from unemployment. So they give you just enough to, to keep you sort of in line. But since, the trillions that went to their cronies to save them, they throw you, a few thousand, just some crumbs, so you'll stay sort of in the background. So trillions more are going to be printed out of thin air to keep the hopium going, while you all wear your masks and be good little sheep. Because remember, every place have to wear a mask now, and you still got to social distance. There's some places you can be on the beach, but you can't sit on the beach. You can go to a park, but you can't be around people. You can't have gatherings of over 12, but you can have riots of thousands, which I don't get. They still haven't opened up churches, so people, you can't go to church and worship in the way you want. And so basically what's happening right now is that we're all sheep. I don't want to say, well, not all of us are sheep. There are some people who are kind of awake and they know what's going on. But basically the sheep are being shorn and your wealth is being stolen from you and you don't even know it. As the Fed prints trillions, the dollar becomes worth less and less. It's not worthless, it's just worth less and less. But the thing is that, many of you almost welcome the government doing it. As long as the government's giving you money, you don't even look and see. You don't even pay attention to what's going on with the Fed and what they're doing behind us in the background. And then finally we come to these so-called riots. These things are funded by Soros, the Clinton Foundation, and others. That everyone knows it. It's not something that's a secret. Soros funds Antifa. And then the Antifa, these guys are paid provocateurs. And it's interesting that, Antifa, it means anti-fascism, but they are probably the most fascist organization in the country. There's nothing that works except their way. That's kind of like how fascism works. But this is really, it's no longer about George Floyd. Unfortunately, the man that was killed or actually murdered by a police officer, and I agree that police officer should be dealt with harshly. But now this has turned into something that's more like overthrowing the government or overthrowing a sitting president by creating chaos throughout the country. And you can see that it's not getting less. It seems to be growing in its power because they got these paid guys that are paid people to go around and make peaceful protests turn into something else that's not necessarily peaceful. So they really, the riots have nothing to do with George Floyd anymore. This is something totally different, paid by Soros to, because he hates USA, so he wants to bring it down if he can. So what they do is, it's about scaring people into staying home or, being afraid to go out because, you might be caught up in a riot, or scaring businesses and destroying businesses. And by the way, what does destroying minority-owned businesses have to do with eliminating racism? How does that? Someone could explain that to me. How does that work? How does destroying that African American's business by either Antifa or whoever is doing it, how does that help eliminate racism? Explain it. I really would like someone to explain that to me because I don't see how it happens. And really, I don't think it has a damn thing to do with it. So, if you don't either, then you guys kind of see what's happening here. There's a whole underlying story of things that are going on with the riots, with the economy being held up by the hopium and the Fed juicing the stock market to keep it look like it's growing. So, what should you be doing? I can talk about these things, but really, what should we be doing to either prepare ourselves or be ready for whatever the next thing that comes? Well, I think the number one thing you need to be prepared for is making sure that you have enough. And this sounds like kind of like the same thing a lot of people say, but have extra food and water. And you need to have extra now, and you need to have extra for the next coming months, because we really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how much worse this is going to get, and either with the riots or with the economy. And I probably almost guarantee you that the economy is going to get worse. Probably the next thing would be gold, silver, and cryptos, because you need something that's a store of wealth. Because as the dollar loses value, there's going to be a bigger need and for precious metals and things that are going to hold their value. So, and not only Bitcoin, there's a lot of other cryptos that are up and coming, that you can get into for a lot less than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is the biggest. It's the big man on campus right now, and for the time being, probably the one that's going to be the biggest value. And then finally, I think one of the things that's also just as important as having food, water, gold, silver, cryptos is working on yourself. I mean, get physically and mentally in shape so that you can withstand the stress of what I think is the USSA, as the USSA continues to worsen. And I think it will. I think the economy is still got a leg down. There's a lot of big companies that have been bailed out, but they're offering voluntary separation packages because they know what's coming, and what's going to continue to happen is they need to offload employees to lighten the load that they're going to have. And then probably we'll see, unfortunately, the ones that don't get the voluntary separation packages, you'll have the involuntary separation where you're just laid off, and whatever you get is whatever you get, usually a couple weeks, and maybe they'll cover you for a month or something as far as wage. But those layoffs are coming. They're not done yet, and the news media is not going to. You're not going to see those as much as you see with some of the other things going on that they want you to see. So basically, get ready for whatever's coming. Food and water, got to have that. Whether you have anything else, you still got to eat and you still got to drink. So have those things ready. Gold and silver and cryptos if you can. If you can't get gold, then buy silver. Silver is the least expensive, but it's still pretty. The premiums are pretty high right now because the availability is low. Gold has pretty high premiums at the moment. Cryptos don't. There's a little bit of takes a little effort to get into cryptos, but that's one of the good things, because it sort of keeps everyone else out, because people don't want to go through the effort to do that. So, and then finally, get in shape physically and mentally. Physically, because it helps your immune system and keeps you strong and helps you, stay healthy. Because a good immune system helps fight off the dreaded COVID. And then mentally, you want to be prepared for what's coming. There's some stresses coming and some things that may not be as nice as what they were in the past, and so things could get tough. And you want to be able to mentally be able to withstand that. So those are the things. Some things to think about. But everyone, I hope that this finds everyone great. And going forward, good luck. And we'll talk to you later.